So let's talk about that, because one of the tools that is there that's very fascinating that you're an expert on is this new thing, the peptides. And obviously a lot of attention on it, maybe some of it in the wrong way with things
Unwelcome.
like Ozempic and other very large, topics in the peptide world. But can you talk a little bit about what drew you into peptides and why you were so excited about it?
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, the attention of the FDA on the peptide space has been really tough, right?
Yeah.
And people, depending on who you talk to, there's lots of different theories as to why that is. And if pharma has learned one thing is, and look, we all know that peptides are very powerful. The peptide that everybody has heard of is insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Insulin is a peptide. People don't think of it as a peptide, but it is functional. It is actually a small protein. It's less than 50 amino acids long. What is exciting about peptides is that they are very powerful signaling molecules in the body that help the body to do what it does better. Now, insulin is an interesting example because what we're saying, and particularly, let's say for type 1 diabetics, we're saying, look, your pancreas can no longer produce its own insulin. So we're going to give it to you exogenously so that we can complement it. Now, the conventional world, unfortunately, doesn't give a lot of guidance to the individual, saying to them, what we need to do in alignment with this is manage your diet so that you're not riding this crazy blood sugar roller coaster for your entire life. And unfortunately, that is not part of the conventional world. You've got guys like Dom D'Agostino, who's a really, really well-known, incredibly accomplished researcher in the space of ketogenic diets and ketones. And I remember him talking years ago about having one of his graduate students in his lab who was a type 1 diabetic. And of course, to a type 1 diabetic, a conventional doctor would say, if you go on a ketogenic diet, you will die, right? You will kill yourself because you'll go into ketoacidosis and you're done. What they did is they helped this person to get on a very closely monitored and managed ketogenic diet. And they noticed that his use of insulin dropped dramatically. Mm-hmm. So now he didn't need, so part of it is the approach. Instead of saying, here you go eat your cake and your candies, you're good to go, we've got you covered. It's more like, okay, here's your stopgap. We're going to make sure that you stay alive, and we're replacing your body's ability, but we still don't want you to, we still advise you for the health of the rest of your body to avoid these massive spikes and drops in blood sugar. Right? So moving on to the other peptides that we're talking about. So, and then pharma's now seen with Ozempic and Mounjaro, these incredibly powerful peptides. So these are proteins that are naturally occurring in the body. When we reintroduce them to the system, what they've done is they've altered them so that they have a much longer half-life. So now that effect of the GLP-1 and the GIP is much longer. And now we're starting to see all these incredible benefits, both metabolically and physiologically. So, I mean, we could do a whole episode on those. If they're used properly, I think they're the best thing literally since sliced bread. If they're used improperly, they're just as damaging as, for example, anything else, right?
Yes.
So now moving further down, moving towards those peptides that really have come under fire by regulatory bodies, particularly in the US lately. These are fragments, again, of naturally occurring proteins in the body that act as signaling molecules. Mm-hmm. So depending on the peptide, we have some that can help to signal the body to initiate healing cascades where tissues are able to heal much faster and more efficiently. We have them where we have one that's very powerful. It's sending signals to healing the GI tract. Mm-hmm. You have other ones that are great for the brain. They're great for skin. Like it is really. So what got me so excited about them, to really answer your question, I've been talking for a long time without answering, is that what we're doing, and it's a little bit of something that you alluded to earlier, we're tapping into the body's own ability to heal, right? All we're doing is we're kind of giving a little we're giving an extra push and saying, hey, we need more of this. And then the body's like, oh, okay, gotcha. And so we're not really doing much. We're just kind of, poking at a button or flipping a switch, however you want to call it. And then when you go to the bioregulator peptides, these are really tiny little proteins. They act as epigenetic switches. So what they do is they are literally able to get into the nucleus of the cell and flip genes on and off back to more youthful expression. So again, we're not interrupting a pathway. We're not blocking anything. We're not pushing anything. All we're doing is saying, hey, here's this thing that you used to make. You're not making as much of it now because you're either stressed or sick or old. And we're going to reignite that ability that you've always had to do this thing.
So much of what I find in medicine that's truly effective is the ability to provide information to the body so it could do what it's always meant to do. We've just kind of fallen out of homeostasis because of dysregulation, because of lots of toxins, chemicals, everything going on, stressors, oxidative stress. That causes dysregulation. What we need is the instruction manual again, so our cells can do what they always have done for millions of years and evolved to do so wonderfully. And we are such miraculous self-healing mechanism. We sometimes forget that. And we're told you have a pharmaceutical chemical deficiency, which is not true. Not at all. But it's fascinating now that we're tapping into so much of this, which is truly informational. We live in an information age. And so we're just providing this information back into the body. And I think that's what's so exciting about, because it isn't something that is unnatural. We're trying to, push the body to do something. We're just getting it to do what it's always done, but in an optimized way, and restore all these wonderful self-healing capabilities.